Hey folks, it's Nate, and it's time I got back to the drawing board. And today, in honor of kicking off my own comic campaign, I'm taking a look at some other independent comics that I like and I've drawn some inspiration from. And today's is a big one. This is Earthworm Jim 2. And Doug Tennaple, over the last couple of years, has really impressed me with his ability to put out really nice, high quality books on a regular basis that I've really enjoyed reading. And Earthworm Jim 2 is no exception. I don't think this is the best of the four books of his I've read in the last couple of years. That credit currently goes to Bigfoot Bill 2, but I did really enjoy reading this. So let's dig into why a little bit. And I want to talk a little bit about the things I kind of took away from Doug's work as he built up his campaigns and his channel on YouTube and his general marketing apparatus, because it's very instructive. Not that I've done a great job following up on that example, but it's been very interesting. But let's start with the book. So this is a hardcover, just like all of his books have been that I have backed on Indiegogo or Kickstarter. It's got a cover that he did. It's got a guest cover by Mike Mignola. And this is a really pleasing to the eye book. It's got some embossing on the front, but not the back. If you can kind of see, it's got a nice gloss on the foreground of the printed surface. It's got gold foil on the edges. Man, that's really great stuff. Inside, it's got really good quality, heavy art book paper. This is not, I mean, this feels almost like magazine paper. That's how good quality it is. It's a real delight to feel and hold in the hand. It's sturdy. You could whack a burglar with this book and he would be done. Done. So yeah, this is about what I expect from Doug's books these days. He loves to put out these high quality books. I love to get them. They're really nice. Art wise, honestly, Doug's style has not evolved at all in the last few years. That's about what you'd expect for somebody who's been illustrating for, gosh, 30 years, I think. He has really kind of perfected his style, and he can get it to do what he wants it to do. There are, I mean, slight changes here and there that you see creeping up over time, but mostly they're refinements. His style is still this very kind of cartoonish, but not in a bad sense. Very exaggerated style. It looks good on the page. It really pops out. His panel layouts are great. There's a ton of white space in them that makes them very easy to analyze, and it's a real joy to read. There are a couple of things. He doesn't do a whole lot to lead the eye on most pages. I mean, you can just look at a page like this one, and you see there's not a whole lot of natural flow to the page. Not even, I think, in the lettering is there a whole lot that kind of points you down the page, or when he doesn't really do out of order panels, which is good because he doesn't signpost them at all. So I think that would be probably one of my big critiques of his art style. I think he could lead the eye a little bit more. Not that every page is without that. I think this page here is actually a good example of that. You can see the queen's eye line and her eye contact with the fish there kind of leads you down the page until we get to Peter Puppy, and then this that psychic energy line or whatever it is kind of leads you over to the last panel. So it is there occasionally, but it's not common. There are some people who you look through their books and you're like, oh, they did this on every page. That's really great. You know, for some people, that's not a big deal. Honestly, for me, it's not a big deal. But you know, he's a really great artist, and he's always talking about in the videos I've seen of his how he would like to be a better artist. And in my humble opinion, I think that's one thing he could stand to improve on. It's not a big thing. Again, the book is plenty readable without it, but you know, maybe a little more of that might make the pages flow better. Not that they don't flow. Again, this is, you know, I'm struggling to find some kind of constructive criticism to offer as I go through the book and look at the art. because I mean, maybe it's just because I'm a rookie artist myself. I don't feel like I have a whole lot of really great feedback to offer there. That said, all in all, the art is really great. The action is really great. The colors by let me double check on the colorist's name. And flatting by Radka Kavalkova. I hope I said that right. Um, so yeah, very good work there. Colored by Catherine Garner. Again, great work. It looks nice. Um, the story is uh, interesting because the arc for Jim is about overcoming fear, and the arc for Princess What's Her Name is about finding her family, and those are especially with finding family. That's a recurring theme in Doug's work, and this is not the kind of found family thing you see in a lot of pop culture today. This is about finding and coming to grips with the specific people you originate from, and those people mark and change you in very profound ways. Um, and you can run and hide from that, but sooner or later you have to face up to it, or you can never live up to your potential, or at least that seems to be the theme that Doug goes with in these kinds of books. And I like that theme. I think Bigfoot Bill does it better than Princess What's Her Name in this book. I don't think it's a bad execution. It does all right. She's just not, and she has an actual name, but I just played the video game so much. Princess What's Her Name is what sticks in my mind. What is her actual name? Let me see if I can find it now. See, this is what happens when you don't write down some notes. Okay, I can't find it just looking through the book, but she does have an actual name. You find out some history behind that name and a few other things. She has a very interesting story that is explored here, but I can't talk too much about it without spoiling it. So, if you want to know more about Princess What's Her Name, especially if you played the games and you never learned anything about her, definitely read this volume. I may talk a little bit more about that in when I do a recap for the next book, but in the meantime, let's talk about Jim's story. Jim, of course, was bitten in half in the first book, and his back half was buried in a grave on Farmer Jim's farm. And then, of course, Earthworm Jim's head went on to fight with Psychro and defeat them and kind of died in an explosion. But being an earthworm, of course, Jim's back end can regenerate all of him. So there is a Jim back in this book. But he doesn't remember what happened on um, on the spaceship. He doesn't remember fighting and overcoming Psychro. And instead, this Jim is traumatized by the fact that he basically died once. And so he's very scared of the thought of having to confront Psychro again. Kind of panicky about danger. And he has to face the fish. This is Earthworm Jim 2, Fight the Fish. And Bob the Fish, that you see on the cover there, is his opponent. Now, Bob isn't actually that big. He's about the size of a normal goldfish. He's just carried around in a little bowl. But Bob the Fish is psychic, and he controls an army of anthropomorphic, human-sized cats, all of whom are incredibly muscular and difficult to deal with. So Jim has to not only fight the fish physically by overcoming all of his cat guards, which is a challenge in and of itself. Bob is psychic, and he exploits Jim's fears to try and bludgeon him into submission. And that's an interesting, it leads, first of all, to some great artwork as Bob conjures up Jim's memories of Psychro biting him in half. That's really great stuff. And it also, he has to face his fears about, like, feeling rejected, feeling like he doesn't fit in. All of which is explored pretty well. This is a 160-page book, so it's pretty long. It has a lot of space to explore those themes, and it does a pretty good job of it. alternating in between these action fight scenes where Jim kind of runs around and fights cats and the other physical threats, and these psychic battle scenes with Bob the Fish, which are really great. Really great look into Jim's psyche, such as it is. I mean, he's not a very deep character as of yet. Um, so I really liked that. I enjoyed the story. I think it all hangs together, although there are some coincidental things which kind of made me roll my eyes, maybe a little bit. I mean, I get that there's not a ton of space to unpack things, and they do kind of make sense. But I can forgive that pretty easily. Your mileage may vary. Finally, the campaign came along with a bunch of the usual add-on kind of stuff Doug does with his campaign. So there were a bunch of stickers. We have the Earthworm Jim one. We have this black and white Jim sticker. Have a Princess What's Her Name sticker. We have a quarter black ferret sticker. We saw Doug design this as a thanks to Quarter Black Garrett, who has worked on the Earthworm Jim trading cards that came with the first campaign. So now we have the sticker to kind of commemorate that. And we have this Evil the Cat patch. Now, I'm a big fan of patches. I'm not really a big fan of Evil the Cat's face. So I have a lot of strong feelings about this patch, and they're all conflicting. If you like patches and you like Evil the Cat's face, you'll probably enjoy this patch. As for me, well, it's probably going to go into the patch drawer where I put all of the patches, which I love to have but never plan to use. We have this kind of Blues Brothers style picture of the Earthworm Jim gang, which is neat. This is not poster. This is some kind of really heavy Bristol or cardstock. It's very nice. Mine is bent because I dropped it while I was taking it out of the box, which is not good. But that's my fault. It has nothing to do with the packaging. We have, most importantly, the Bigfoot Build 3 preview. These have been a feature of every campaign Doug has done since the first Bigfoot Bill. He kind of does the first 24 pages of his next campaign and includes them as a promo. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about this because I plan to cover the entire Bigfoot Bill 3 story when it comes out. But that's nice to have. This is actually, I think, my favorite include in campaigns. And it all came in a box that looks pretty nice and in a bag that encourages you to do an unboxing video, which I cannot do because I did not see the bag until I had already unboxed everything. So that may be something for Doug or his fulfillment team to think about putting on the box, not inside the box, because it's easier to make. And not that I care much for the unboxing genre in the first place, but if I was going to make an unboxing video, I would have had to have seen the notice before I did the unboxing part. I know some people put all the stuff back in and then take it back out and pretend to be, that's one of the reasons I don't care much for the unboxing genre, but that's neither here nor there. So let's talk about what we can learn from Doug's campaigns. Well, the first big one is value, and he puts a ton of value in his campaigns. Far more than smaller creators can put in, honestly, because he makes so much on volume. He can include all of these stretch goals and add-ons and other great stuff. I wish I could do that. Frankly, I think it will be a struggle just to complete the campaign. Maybe someday in the future, we can go back and look at releasing omnibus versions of some of my comics and do that. The next thing is he does his best to release on time. This is the first book of his that I've gotten that has been late. And a lot of that had to do with the current pandemic situation and complications with the printers and the heavy shipping load. And most of that is understandable. There's not a whole lot Doug could do about it. But he was late a little bit on this one. Certainly not as late as some people have been. And he was on top of keeping in touch with backers. which is the third thing. Having already just run my campaign for 1 week, I feel like I'm not updating people enough. And I'm very impressed with how well Doug did at keeping us up to date with how the campaign was going as we were waiting for our overdue product. And in that respect, I really do respect Doug's operation. I know he doesn't do everything himself, which is another advantage that the starting out creator can't quite measure up to. But it was really impressive to see the difference between Doug and some of the other campaigns I've backed that have run late and were pretty slow in getting the updates out. So I am trying to learn from that, and hopefully you will find my updates satisfactory. So that's my thoughts on Bigfoot Bill or excuse me, Earthworm Jim. I was looking over at that preview comic and just what came out of the mouth. So hopefully you found that useful, you found that enjoyable, something to think about there. And I will talk to you later. Oh, if you want to check out my own crowdfunding campaign for Hexwood Dust and Ashes, a simple story of magic and vengeance in the Colombian West, there is a link down below in the description. You can click on that and give it a look. Maybe back it if it looks like something you'd appreciate. I'll talk to you later.